If you haven't heard about the Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. The Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it's easy to be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special broadcast bonus episode of Gotta Have Heart Wrestling by yours truly, Jim Holmes. I want to go back to year 2006. Things were kind of changing, kind of in a way where you see different roster talents of both Raw and SmackDown, come together, even show up each other's shows during the end of 2006, such as, the Hardy Boys, whether Matt and Jeff will be featured on the new WWE's version of ECW on Tuesday nights on Sci-Fi. Or whether sometimes you see Raw Jeff Hardy go to SmackDown, or even SmackDown's Matt Hardy come to Monday Night Raw. At times you would have, champions of each other's shows, whether you have, let's say, John Cena, the WWE champion, and SmackDown's Batista, the World Heavyweight Champion, come together for one and only. This would certainly be a true dream team come to an existence here because this these two guys will come together for the 2006 Armageddon pay-per-view event. And that's what we're going to talk about today's bonus episode of WWE's Armageddon 2006. This event will take place on December 17th, 2006 from the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. This had a attendance record of 8,200 fans. Not a big sold-out attendance record here for this Richmond Coliseum. But the tagline would read, "The end is only the beginning." Like I said, subsequently we had rivalries whether, technically this was only supposed to be a SmackDown exclusive and pay-per-view event. But like I said, Raw's WWE Champion John Cena will show up with one and only job he's to try to overcome King Booker and his throne, his court, featuring Finlay. At the time, of course, John Cena on the roll of his career as being WWE Champion. And Batista, who had just regained the championship from King Booker this past Survivor Series event from Philadelphia, where he even vacated the championship in the first place. Let's just say this event would be okay because it kind of grossed over $423,500 in ticket sales from the defense record of 8,200. You know, so it wouldn't be the highest grossing event, but at least for the city of Richmond, Virginia, at least that's kind of something. You know. But yeah, nonetheless, yeah, we even had this one was so fun because we got to see the only second ever last ride match compared to one that happened 2 years ago between JBL and the Undertaker. We even saw an inferno match that hadn't had happened since 1999, since Triple H battled Kane on a special episode of SmackDown. So it's kind of fun to see these two gimmick matches return in the favor of Kane and the Undertaker at this event also. But nonetheless, we've had a dark match between Vladimir Kozlov, who really known who Vladimir Kozlov is until he showed up in WWE 2 years later, faced up against Guy Tardy and defeated him within 2 minutes and 1 second. So, like I said, Vladimir Kozlov, newcomer to the WWE at the time, didn't really know who he was. He wouldn't show up on TV until 2 years later. And he got the veteran, of course, Guy Tardy from the famous Too Cool group with him, Grant Sexy, and Rikishi. So nonetheless, I guess it was a good dark match to entertain fans right before the main show. And in that way, just got the fans more involved what the pay-per-view was going to be like later on that night. All right, we will open up with the first match, the dangerous, the uncommon Inferno match. The return of the Inferno match for the first time in 7 years. This is crazy. I always enjoy the Inferno match. Like I said, the two that happened between Undertaker and Kane at Unforgiven 1998, even on Raw on February 1999. Really good Inferno matches. I really loved it. The Triple H Kane one in the past on SmackDown in September '99, I didn't really enjoy that one. That was kind of a flop. But like I said, this would only be the fourth Inferno match in WWE's history, where we saw Kane go one-on-one against the newcomer Montel Bontavious Porter, MVP. This match would really be out of MVP's territory. It's a newcomer, but like I said, it all started this rivalry here where MVP successfully, I think by luck to ensure you, he got two victories over Kane on two SmackDowns in a row in a steel cage match and in a street fight that happened in the UK. So in order to at least send Kane off on the right path, let's do things Kane's way, the Inferno match. This match should be pretty good back and forth here. It would only last 8 minutes 14 seconds. But for the first time in his career, Kane had won his first Inferno match by sending MVP's back on fire from the outside of the ring on the steel steps, grabbing MVP by the neck and just slowly pushing him towards the fire. MVP back is on fire before he's put out by firefighters and, you know, extinguishers. So, yeah. I think it was a pretty bad night for MVP, a very scarred night for MVP. So, like I said, Kane's first Inferno victory, finally, it's his second match anyways. So, and MVP got a really hard lesson and a brutal, well, I guess, welcome in the SmackDown as far as being in the land of giants. And that's pretty much the last time we'll see MVP try to battle somebody twice his size. So, I think he learned his lesson after that night. But unless Kane here, always on top of his game, no matter what kind of matchup he is, still the big rubber machine, still the monster, till his very day. Head into your Town 7. He was going to make sure that things were going his way on SmackDown. Next up, we would have, it was supposed to be Brian Kendrick and Paul and defending tag champions against Dave Taylor and William Regal. Mind you, this is supposed to be a tag team title matchup here. This is where it kind of gets interesting. If you have Teddy Long, when it comes to Teddy Long and tag matches, you're kind of gonna get unexpected, surprises. And since we was around the time for Christmas, I think it was only fitting to let Teddy Long give us an early Christmas present here because he will turn this into a tag team ladder match, which obviously is in the favor of the team of Brian Kendrick and Paul London. But with a twist, now there will be two more teams added to the mix. First comes out the newly reunited M&M of Johnny Nitro, Mercury, and Melina back together again, one and only. And if you got a ladder match, you cannot have a ladder match without the guys who invented the ladder match, the guys who made the ladder match famous. You have got to have Matt and Jeff, the Hardy Boys, back together again, one and only, thus making it a fatal four-way tag team championship ladder match here. We saw lots of stunts here. But mind you, keep an eye on this matchup here. If you go back and watch this match on the WWE Network, Armageddon 10 and 6, oh man, I would say this is a very disruptive night because Joey Mercury suffered a broken nose, which a catapult ladder, which is a Hardy specialty when it comes to ladder matches. Jeff Hardy coming up on top rope, hitting the ladder, Matt Hardy holding Mercury's face. That ladder pushed up right into Mercury's nose, and oh my god. I would say as far as blood spots go, that's probably got to be the worst blood spots I've ever seen. This is so dangerous. You see the blood just dripping from Mercury's nose like a faucet, literally like a faucet. His right eye is swollen shut, his left eye barely closing, and his nose, busted and probably broken in a few spots too. This was so an incident here. I don't think that was supposed to happen, but it did. So even though I don't like Eminem as much, I felt bad for Joe Mercury getting his nose completely busted and injured that night. So yeah. Nonetheless, this was a good ladder match. This is as far as ladder match goes. This is be one of the top 20 ladder matches here. So I gotta put this up there. It's not really for like a single championship or a important championship, but it's for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. As far as the reign goes, Paul London, Brian Kendrick, it kind of brought them up there as far as the tag team stratosphere goes, and making them one of the best tag teams in WWE's history. And the good thing about it, Paul and Brian Kendrick retained the tag team championships in 20 minutes and 30 seconds here. So, like I said, as far as ladder matches go, those would be up there, and it would boost more profile of Paul and Brian Kendrick being these SmackDown tag team champions. So, kudos to this team here. Kudos to Matt and Jeff Hardy for putting on an amazing ladder match, and even Dave Louis Ringo for even having the effort to even compete in the ladder match, even though it's really out of their element. But they still did a good job anyway. So, kudos to them as well. Next up, we will have the Boogeyman going one on one against the Miz. Mind you, Miz being another newcomer. We know Miz from the MTV series The Real World, having been a celebrity on MTV for many years. him coming to SmackDown Town 6 and trying out wrestling to see how good it was. Neither we just know that this is the start of the Miz's career. We now know the Miz has won every major championship in WWE today, including Money in the Bank twice. Right now, he is currently Miss Money in the Bank in WWE in real life. Even made him in WrestleMania defeating John Cena. That is a huge accomplishment itself. So Miz can have that in his repertoire, defeating John Cena for the WWE Championship, and it made him in WrestleMania 27. So, but nonetheless, he was still kind of like an amateur. I was prime here. He decided to challenge the Boogeyman. Not a wise decision, but the Boogeyman would defeat the Miz in 2 minutes and 51 seconds here. And lesson learned from the Miz: never mess with somebody that is very different than you, very mystique than you, and like no other opponent you've ever faced before. The Boogeyman is kind of somebody you're gonna want to stay away from. So even though good effort for the Miz, but it was Boogeyman who would ultimately defeat the Miz in quick fashion. That is. So yeah. Next up, we will see the United States Championship on line. Chris Benoit defends against Chavo Guerrero with Mickey Rosen in his corner. Mind you, Chris Benoit, even though it's not talked about much in the WWE program today because of the incident that happened in 2007, but can't deny how good of an athlete Chris Benoit is. The best, one of the best to come out of Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and he says one of the best technical wrestlers of all time, especially in the WWE's history, or the OCW, ECW, or WWE. So Chris Benoit is definitely up there as part of the 20 greatest wrestlers of all time. And you got Chavo Guerrero. Chavo Guerrero, who would ultimately put Rey Mysterio out of action for a number of months here, a long, very long number of months, with that leg injury in the Icon match on SmackDown 3 months prior. He started right because of Chris Benoit. Chavo Guerrero wanted to make a name for himself at Chris Benoit's expense, especially becoming the United States champion. Of course, the lineage of the United US Championship very, very prestigious. Going back to the first champion Holly Race in 1970. So this will be one of those foreign championship matches in Chavo Guerrero's career. This will be a good match back and forth. We saw Vicky Guerrero attempted to interfere in this matchup, unsuccessful here, as Chris Morrow makes Chavo Guerrero tap out to the crossface in 12 minutes and 14 seconds, retaining his United States Championship. And Chavo Guerrero making it known that when it comes to Less Family or La Familia, Chavo Guerrero is, down there, but Chris Morrow's not one to be messed with too. Chris Morrow's always tough and you know, competitive in his career, Chris Paul will beat the crap out of you. I think anybody trusts Chris Paul will tell you that straight up. So yeah, for the late great Chris Paul here, that was a pretty good matchup, for the pay-per-view release, and another great successful title defense here. Next up, we will see a singles match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship between Gregory Helm and Jimmy Wayne Gang. Let me tell you something about Jimmy Wayne Gang. He was a former wrestler, not wrestling WWE today, but when he was that character, before he was the, let me see, Akio character in WWE, being with or gets managed by Tajiri once upon a time ago. So Jimmy Wayne Gang was, when he became this guy, Jimmy Wayne Gang, it wasn't too bad. It was a pretty good character. I kind of enjoyed it roughly. He's trying to make a name for himself. New character, new gimmick, whatever you want to call it. But guys, going up against like Gregory Helms, who was formerly known as the Hurricane, or Hurricane Helms at that, especially before a championship, the Cruiserweight Championship. Let me tell you about this though. We know the group, the best friends between Shannon Moore, Gregory Helms, and the Hardy Boys, all from North Carolina, North Kakalaki, as JBL would describe every week on SmackDown. So, yeah, around this time though, Gregory Helms is at the prime of his career. Mind you, he had been the Cruiserweight Champion since the Royal Rumble of January 2006. So from that date, January 2006, all the way to December 2006, and he's had a chance for roughly goddamn nearly a year. It was at that time even longer than Paul and Brian Kendrick's SmackDown Tag Team Championship run. It was that good. It really was. So give the Gregory Helms for holding the championship for roughly the entire year of 2006. Proclaiming himself probably being the greatest cruiserweight champion of all time. But you can't deny that. Gregory Helms will probably be the greatest cruiserweight champion of all time. There's nobody that can beat that record. I don't think nobody ever will beat that record also. And that's Gregory Helms with the Fiji ring in 10 minutes 51 seconds here. Good fashion, mind you, too. I've always been impressed with Gregory Helms in the ring. No matter where he's been. He's one of the most accomplished cruiserweight wrestlers, even one of the most accomplished wrestlers of all time. So, good try for Jim Wayne Gang, but he'll come up short in this matchup here. against Gregory Helms. Next up, we will see the second and I think final last Riot match ever in WWE's history between The Undertaker and Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy. Okay, he said it twice, but yeah. But like I said, we've seen how brutal the first last Riot match was between Undertaker and JBL at the 2004 No Mercy pay-per-view event. Now we'll kind of get to see here what will happen between The Undertaker and Mr. Kennedy. Mind you, Mr. Kennedy was calling all shots here, even when he was United States champion, getting that no DQ victory over The Undertaker at No Mercy. But he didn't exactly lead that match standing on his own will. Even luckily, thanks to the Inferno MVP defeating The Undertaker in their first blood match at the Survivor Series. Mind you, there's only like one person that's defeated The Undertaker in the first blood match, and that's Stone Cold Steve Austin at the fully loaded 1999 pay-per-view event for the WWE Championship in that event. So if Miss Kennedy can say in his career he's got a victory over The Undertaker at Survivor Series in a first blood matchup, that's pretty big to say. That's a big accomplishment, and even if winning the WWE Championship. Now I know Mr. Kennedy is one of the most accomplished wrestlers. He defeated 6 world champions and 6 former world champions in SmackDowns in his tenure with WWE. That's how much a month. He hasn't even been the TNA World Heavyweight Champion during his tenure with TNA Wrestling back in 2011, defeating with the, well, I guess, Antichrist Jeff Hardy, the heel Jeff Hardy at the time. So, yeah, Mr. Kennedy was on verge of becoming a huge name superstar on SmackDown. But for us to make name for yourself, you're gonna want to take out SmackDown's biggest star, the Grim Reaper himself, The Undertaker. If you take out The Undertaker, you're pretty much on top of that ladder there. So, only do that is get The Undertaker to rest in peace, and the last Riot match will surely do it. One of the scariest moments match up here when these two fought on top of the stage, one of the smaller stage sets of the Armageddon pay-per-view event, and Miss Kenny tossed the Undertaker off of there, I think about 15 feet off of there. Undertaker landed somewhere on the ground. I think some soft spot, thank God. He wasn't too injured here. We even saw Miss Kennedy try to load the Undertaker inside that I don't know what you call those things, those trucks that drives coffins to the funeral homes. A hearse. Yeah. Put the Undertaker back of that hearse. He slammed it. Well, Miss Kennedy proceeded to back the hearse out of the arena. We saw the Undertaker sit up, grab Miss Kennedy out there, take Miss Kennedy up, with two stumbling on top of the hearse, pitting Miss Kennedy on the back of the hearse, closing it shut, driving the hearse out of the arena to win the match here. Undertaker, another memorable moment in his career, another monumental victory for the dead man. That the Undertaker will also put an end to Undertaker and Kenny's rivalry here. That's Undertaker had bigger things to focus on as far as year 2007 goes, as far as him being the guy to become a World Heavyweight Champion in the future here. And that's what the Undertaker did. So kudos to the Undertaker, my guy, for winning that match against Mr. Kennedy here. Next up, we will have the main event here. As we will see, the first time ever, never before and never again. I guess I can't really use that because John Cena and The Rock. But I guess the only time, okay, I'll use that. The only time we'll see these two team up, the WWE Champion John Cena and the World Heavyweight Champion Batista team up for the first time ever against the King Booker's core of King Booker and Finlay with Queen Sharmell. Now we know these two guys, Batista and John Cena, had one hell of a year at Town 5. They did it again in Town 6. It wasn't really go their way as far as Batista go, with the injury that kept them on the vacuum for 6 months. Returned, beat King Booker for a championship at Survivor Series. John Cena getting his day championship back from Edge at the Unforgiven pay-per-view in the tail end championship match in Toronto. And let's just say it's a pretty good matchup for these two. And a pretty easy win because they would eventually defeat King Booker instantly in a tag team match in 11 minutes and 29 seconds, with them pulling with their respective championships to close out the show here. I've always wondered that, this match was okay, but I always wondered if the last Riot match should have closed out the show. I've heard many fans say that, this match, the tag team matchup with John Cena and Batista versus Booker T and Finlay wasn't really the best main event matches of all time, especially if you have two world champions from different shows teaming with each other to go against two other people. It's okay, but it could have been bigger. Anyway, so for this match to happen, it was okay. It was maybe a attraction on paper, but as far as the match happened itself, in my opinion, I didn't think it was that good either. I think the last time I should have closed out the show here. It would have been more fitting to the Undertaker just drive Kennedy in that hearse out of the arena to close the show. That would have been a lot better, So, but overall, I just maybe a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't too bad. Like I said, we got the return of the last ride match and the Inferno match, and we saw an amazing Fan Forward ladder match here too. So I think SmackDown and Teddy Long did deliver on the pay-per-view event. It was pretty much loaded, throughout halfway of the card here. But nonetheless, it'll be good to talk about, So yeah. And don't forget, we are only 7 days away from WWE's TLC pay-per-view event live on the network at 7 o'clock 4 Eastern here, exclusively. We had two TLC matches, one for the WWE Championship and one for the Universal Championship. And by the way, guys, I'm proud to announce that I've created my own website called GottaHaveHeartW.com. Again, that's GottaHaveHeartW.com. Website, check out my episodes. I'm going to have a sub-exclusive shop soon, hopefully within the early 2021. I'm going to be selling merchandise here too. So if you guys ever want to purchase a t-shirt or a hat, you can always come to my website to do it. But you look at the latest news from WWE's AEW or any other wrestling news I talk about on there, so you can go right there and check out the scoops and anything. But go and check it out. Again, that's GottaHaveHeartW.com. You can also links to my Facebook page, my Instagram, and my Twitter. And just go out there, feel free to explore it. Give me a feedback on it. Feedback is always important. Again, I appreciate you guys, fans, for following me on Twitter a lot. Really amazing. And I love you guys for it. And thank you again. And who knows, I may just do another bonus episode later on today. May just do one. We'll see. But like I said, tune TLC next week Sunday, 7 days away from now, exclusively on the WWE Network. Thank you guys again, and you have a good day and be safe.